As usual, the camera does not give this justice. Spectacular dawn. Sunrise almost here. Gotta get the food plots sprayed and get some mowing done. Come on and play with me as we get an early start at the farm. Well, we're ragtagging it. Side by side, won't start. We're running this Femco sprayer, put a new pump on it. That's all it took. We're spraying, low wind. It's just now 7 a.m. Beautiful morning. Got some little bitty corn here. Look. Little bitty corn popping up in rows. It's a little early to be spraying, but I'm going to be gone for a week and a half. So I've got to get it sprayed. Hey everybody, it's John. Lake Erie Chestnuts here on a beautiful day. Got up crack of dawn and got out here early. You can see the winds blowing now, but you know at dawn the wind is very still and I was able to spray my food plots. I'm going to take you on a quick tour around the place. If you're new to the channel, my name's John. I have 125 acres here in northwest Pennsylvania, Erie County. And we have a 10-acre chestnut orchard with about 450 trees, about 30 different varieties. Well, they're all a bunch of different varieties, but about 30 different mother trees. We're going to take a quick walk through and we'll update you on some oaks. We'll show you some chestnuts and finish up with a few other kind of trees that I don't talk a lot about. Get you here on some English white oaks. These are in their 9th year and they produced their first acorns last year. They had heavy pressure in years 5 and 6 from the gypsy moth, now renamed the spongy moth. These will be coming out of these tubes pretty soon. You'll find oaks are much sturdier trees than chestnuts if you grow both. Nice solid looking tree though. We'll see if it produces anything this year. This here is a sawtooth oak. We have a couple other sawtooths, but that's my best specimen so far. So it has wanted to produce acorns, but it just hasn't had anything to pollinate it. Just a regular white oak. Here's another white oak. Just show you one more here. You can see I have a row of them down that way. Looking here. Not seeing any acorns swelling up yet on the quick look here, but very healthy looking trees. They're definitely putting some growing in. I'm going to go over here and show you some persimmon, maybe 6 or 7 years old. I've kind of neglected them, but they've been doing okay. A little spindly. But I decided this one snapped in half, and so it was in a tube. The tube snapped in half. It sent up new sprouts, so I put it in a cage instead. See the snap off? Looks very healthy though. This one's still in a tube. I'll show you some better specimens that were planted a year or so before these that I really took care of. Now we're coming up on some trees that are a little unique. These were provided seed by Mr. Nave. This is Ace. If you happen to watch this, Mr. James Nave, sometimes Michael. This is Ace, and it has its first blossoms. This is about 5 years old, I think. I'll have to check my records of exactly how old it is. But it's about 7.5 foot tall, and it's out of a 5-foot tube there, and it's got its first blossoms. Next to it is Yixian large, also first blossoms ever. This one's coming out of the tube and branching more. Yixian large. And this is a Maraval. These three were all grown from seed provided by Mr. Nave. Thank you very much. These are from 4 or 5 years ago when you lived back in California. All right, we'll get to the main orchard here. And as I've been showing you, the full blossoming usually happens around July 4th. I've thought that it would be a little early, but you know, it hasn't opened yet. Their pollen is not flying, but they're definitely really extending. This being June 16th. You know, this is the problem here. We got a dead tree here, and then I just caged one of its stump sprouts, and it's trying to survive. Then over here we, had, I think this was all from that late frost. We had 3 or 4 of them over right in this area die last spring, trying to grow back. You can see growth coming out. Red-winged blackbird giving me the business. They're very territorial. Hovering me. Yeah? You're mad at me, huh? I think his nest is right here. They'll dive bomb you. Yeah? Alright, I'll leave you alone. Alright. We're gonna leave you guys alone, I guess. I'm gonna go somewhere else. Yelling at me, hovering overhead. Don't be mean to me. I'm leaving you alone. All right. Maybe he'll thump me in the head. We've walked this lane because this is the one that I've mowed so far. This tree's trying to make a comeback. This is the one that I used that word pollard because the top had snapped, and then it all died after it tried to wake up this spring. And now it's sending up new sprouts, already 2.5 foot tall. Yeah, it's probably going to be the most showy blossom season thus far in our orchard. Really starting to lengthen. You can see the beginning of female burrs forming. Should be an awesome year. I wish you could smell this, the sweet smell of freshly mowed grass, hay smell. The clover, the red clover. Shasta daisies. And all sorts of other wildflowers. Just beautiful. Just makes it a pleasure to walk out here when you're not being dive bombed by blackbirds. See this tree? We'll get an identification on it. This tree was thought to be a shing, C11, but that's what it's labeled. Look at those big long blossoms. Yeah, that tree's probably, it's leaning, but maybe it's 17 foot tall. This was just a vision that I had just a few short years ago that I would have. I've seen those pictures of just the catkins just hanging down, and here I have some. Really will be interesting to see what this year's harvest turns out to be. I mean, there should just really be a lot of pollen in the air here. This tree's always produced really well, and this year's no exception. Kind of take you out at 0.5 to get a little wide view of it. Really broad tree. Got the old eastern lean from the prevailing winds from the west, but looks pretty solid overall. Give you a different perspective of the tree. Kind of cool. Not all the trees have that much of a lean, but a lot do. And they're just going to have to figure it out. Maybe they'll just always have the lean. Maybe it'll be a gangsta lean. This one, I've got some work to do. A little multiflora rose sharing a space with it. Still blooming, looks good. I'll have to reach up underneath there and snap. You know, one of those things I say should never be in the orchard without. It's my snips. Well, they're back in the truck. Well, let's walk through, see if we can bounce up a deer that's bedded down. Get you over to another part of the farm. Part of the sad saga of some trees here. I used to call this ash corner. But the emerald ash borer is turning the page on that. Here goes some deer running away. Yeah, they bed down in here. They're booking it across the field. There's another one just right here close, checking us out. There's a bunch of them. There's at least 5 or 6. And there's one real close here. Giving a different perspective of the pond here. Which is one of the reasons why those deer were bedded here. Those of you that have ponds, I planted those. And they're not doing bad. I mean, I understand that they can overwhelm. And if they do get too thick, I'll go in there and start pulling them out. But it actually gives a little habitat for the fish to swim in. Got this all mowed up nice and pretty today. There's old Bluey. There's a bunch of fish beds right here. So Bluey's gonna hop over this way, do a little protecting in the shallow. In the shallow, something like that, I think. Exactly. Had pretty cool shots of a guy, a heron flying right by. I got all the bluegills wanting food, plus sitting on the nest, and I left the stupid fish food at home. Update on our Asian paragraft, which I'd never done before. I'm going to declare that dead. Doesn't look like it's done anything, but I'm not giving up on it. Although that little fuzzy guy there may have something to do with or say about that. If a leaf comes out, he may take it out. Yeah, we'll try again next year. Update on our hazels. Plenty of seeds starting to form. Nuts. Looks like it's going to be a good crop. Lots of them. On the next one, also loaded. Loaded. Well, let's see if our big guy, I don't know, for some reason I just feel like this guy's a different, I don't know, head catkins, but for the first time, but I don't see any nuts on it, but it's awesome growth. This thing's 12 foot tall. Some of those I planted a couple years ago. They all have a weak color, like they need some nutrient, like nitrogen. You saw me plant some trees. They were 3-year-old chestnuts. They were bare root. So far the experiment is working, and this one's actually blooming. Oh, this one is too. Here's our cornfield, one of our cornfields. This is Roundup Ready corn, 85 day. See some faint rows. Look at the individual plants. Maybe a touch close. We'll just leave them alone just in case the deer eat them. The one that I put some oak trees in and chestnuts. And today I see some oaks have sprouted. Hard to get a super clear picture of that, but also a couple corn plants have sprouted in there. That should be entertaining. We'll see what the chestnuts do. I see quite a few little guys sprouting. That cool weather probably helped them. They didn't get blasted as soon as they got put in the ground.